What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another NFL DFS video with your boy. Drop a like down below because I already know you're going to love it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment anything in the comment section and your name into the $50 giveaway that I do every single week on this channel. It is week 6, ladies and gentlemen. We are looking to stay up on the season. It is an interesting slate for sure. There's a lot of spots I'm really loving. A lot of spots that I'm a little on. But we're going to talk about it. As you guys know, early in the week, we do the first look lineup video. In this video, we're going to go position by position and talk about everybody in the player pool that we're liking and why we're liking different guys. Kind of go over ideas for the slate. Kind of more of a full slate breakdown position by position. All right, so starting off at quarterback this week. All right, there's many options you can go. Now, starting at the top, Tua is in a spot where, yes, he could have success. Him and Tyreek could continue to connect. Everything is great. Game script kind of limits the upside. You know, I'm really liking Mostert in this game environment. I'm not too, like, it is a fantastic matchup. So if Miami decides to just get every point through the air, I mean, there's nothing we could do about that. But at home, in a very big favored spot for Miami, I'm expecting more of an on-the-ground game with no what's his name? What is his name? The damn other running back from Miami. You're gonna see a lot of Mostert. I really like that spot for Mostert. I'm really liking Raheem the most, and because of that, I don't have a lot of Tua. But Tua and Tyreek pairing, obviously, with the upside potential, is huge for GPPs always. All right, all right. Some other guys I have interest in. I do have interest in Trevor Lawrence against the Colts. Um, there's multiple ways that you can attack this game. Obviously, with the Trevor Lawrence, you could pair him with Ridley, you could pair him with Kirk. And then on the other side of the Colts, you've got Downs as a good value play. You've got Michael Pittman. Obviously, Anthony Richardson will be missing. Minshew's playing solid though, so I don't think it's much of a issue for the Colts to be able to keep it competitive. So I do like Trevor Lawrence at 6.5. Let's really break down my absolute favorite options though. All right, when you look point per salary, there's many options as you can go, but honestly, for me, one of the guys I have a little bit of interest in is Stafford. I like the price at 6-1 on a pass-friendly team going in a very good matchup against Arizona in a dome. The only issue here is that the Rams should get up pretty easily, and I think that we could possibly see a ton of Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams got me a ton of money week 4. And it could be another one of those weeks where he just rakes up again, gets multiple touchdowns, and they just run the ball a good bit with Kyren Williams. So Kyren is in a very good spot. Definitely have interest in that. Week 4 against the Colts, he got 2 touchdowns, 25 carries for 103 yards. That's kind of around what I'm thinking could happen here. I mean, it's just a very run-friendly environment, and in games that it's been that way so far this year, he's gotten multiple touchdowns in there. If you look at the game against Seattle, they won 30-13, so they were up a good bit. He got 2 touchdowns in that one. In the game against the Colts last week, they won 29-23. Not up a ton, but he got 2 touchdowns in that one. So both of their wins that they have this year, he's gotten multiple touchdowns in. Okay, and I'm expecting them to get the W here against the Cardinals. So I think Kyren Williams is in a great spot. So I like the run game a little bit here, but yeah, I can understand you going Matthew Stafford, Cup, Nakua, whatever. I get it. He's got his main man back, but this is more of a rushing friendly script in this one. All right, for me. Joshua Dobbs, I have some GPP interest in. I mean, why wouldn't you? The Rams have been one of the worst teams in coverage this entire season. Rams secondary is trash. Okay, in Arizona, Dobbs has been all right. I mean, he's got some okay weapons in that in the receiver room. He's got let's talk about him. Marquise Brown, and then the other option that he has was that real cheap guy. What's his name? Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson, Marquise Brown are both guys who are fairly cheap and guys that are going to get a lot of targets here playing from behind against one of the league's worst secondaries in coverage. So Dobbs is very interesting to me. Very in GPPs. Like he's not somebody that I'd be like, oh yeah, let me run him in cash games. I don't think, but maybe even then. I mean, it's a great spot, man. So Joshua Dobbs at 5.2 is very interesting in GPPs. I wouldn't be surprised to see an Arizona stack possibly being part of a takedown line because Arizona should put up some solid numbers playing from behind in this spot. And then if you've got the right studs on the other end because you save so much money, I mean, it should be easy work. Um, Justin Fields against Minnesota. I completely understand this one. Fields runs a lot. Teams play a ton of zone against Chicago because you can't man up when you got a running quarterback like Justin Fields back there. So Minnesota's going to run a lot of zone, and DJ Moore's been carving zone. So you could pair up Justin Fields with DJ Moore. I think they should have some success once again. And then obviously on the Minnesota side, you've got some run back too. So Fields paired up with DJ Moore, running it back with Addison or Osborne, who both are fantastic options this week with no Jefferson. Feels like a good, solid way to go as well. It's not in a dome or anything. It is in Chicago, but it's looking like the rain should avoid them. They should avoid some rain, maybe like 10-mile-per-hour winds or something, but nothing crazy. So I do like Fields with what he could do with his feet, as well as the correlation that we have in that one. I like that spot. Um, Tua's only 300 more, and it's very, very tough, man. The issue here is that I would love Tua, but I love Raheem so much. And playing Tua and Tyreek and Raheem, yes, that could end up being great, but that doesn't correlate very well. So it's a tough one, man. If I go Tua and Tyreek, I'm fading Mostert, and it feels hard for me to fade Mostert in a spot against one of the worst rush defenses in the league against Carolina. So it's one of those spots there. It's like, man, and Tyreek Hill's coming in a little banged up, so it's like, why risk anything? Maybe let's just lean on the run this week. Let's get our easy win and let's move on to the next week. Like, let's not push anybody too hard. So I don't know. But yeah, for only 300 more than Fields, it's tough to pull the trigger on Fields in that spot. But yeah, I still think I lean Fields just off the basis of how much I love Mostert this week. Kirk Cousins is perfectly fine as well. We know that we have pairings for him. We know that we have Osborne and Addison, obviously. Yes, he is downgrading a bit because he's losing his number one target in Jefferson. Could he struggle a bit? Sure, he could. Chicago's secondary is not good. They run one of the highest zone defenses in the league, and these Minnesota receivers should do okay versus that. Addison's been great versus zone. Osborne's been solid versus zone. So those guys should still find openings in the zone defense. Kirk Cousins should be fine. So at 7-1, he's perfectly fine as well. The tough situation here is Kirk Cousins. You're dependent on what he can do through the air, where Fields is only a couple hundred more, and he can get you a floor with his feet. So I still side with Fields there in that. Let's see. Who else? I thought Richardson was out this week. Am I tripping? Do we have him in here on accident? Yeah, Minshew should be in here, not Richardson. So we'll update that. Let's see. What other spots? Gardner Minshew, actually, I have some interest in at 5K. Obviously, you can pair Minshew with Pittman or Downs, and then running back on the other side with the obvious Ridley or Kirk. Both are fantastic plays this week, and you can go either one. All right. All right. Let's move on to running back. So to break it down for you, looking at quarterback, I like Justin Fields a lot with his rushing ability. I like Burrow with Chase. Trevor Lawrence, I like pairing with Ridley and Kirk. Kirk Cousins, I like pairing with those value Minnesota guys with no Jefferson. Stafford, I like pairing obviously with Cup or whatever there. The only issue with Stafford, the only issue with Tua is that I love Kyron Williams. I love Raheem Mostert, and I kind of got to pick a side when it comes to that. So, tough decisions to make, but let's talk about running backs and the reason why that decision is so tough, man. Kyron Williams in this spot is so good. Arizona's run defense has been dreadful. Um, Carolina's run defense has been dreadful. So Raheem Mostert is a fantastic option. It's just, man, those spots are so good for those two, and they're in such favored spots. It just feels like the run game is what you need to attack there. So Mostert, Kyron Williams, two of my favorite. Alvin Kamara, I absolutely love against the bad Houston defense. I really love him still under 7K. He's a fantastic option this week. When it comes to running back, man, I'm really have a small player pool. Mostert. Um, who else? I'm blanking. Mostert was one of the guys. Kyron Williams is another guy. I mean, these dudes are, and Alvin Kamara. Those three running backs are guys that I'm prioritizing in my lineups. Okay. You can go Travis Etienne Jr. Solid spot for them in a favored matchup at home in Jacksonville. He's a spot that you can go. If you want to go Madison and get a little bit different, I don't know how many people are going to jump on the run game from Minnesota, but it makes sense. No Jefferson, maybe they run more than we're used to seeing. They are a pass heavy offense, but maybe they run a little bit more. So they are favored still in facing Chicago, a bad run D. So we'll see. So Madison's in play for sure. Um, Josh Jacobs, you can. Vegas is favored. Josh Jacobs, the last couple weeks, it seems like he's gotten it together. He's 17 carries, 20 carries, touchdowns in both. Got 11 targets against the Chargers week 4. Got 5 targets weeks 5. So yeah, interesting spot for Jacobs, sure. But at 7K, I mean, I prefer the other three that I just talked about. You know what I mean? Mostert, Kamara, Kyron, those guys. Let's see who else. Looking at running backs this week, man, like I said, it's a very small player pool, man. There's not a ton of guys that I'm like, that's what I need. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I'm gonna keep it simple at running back this week, man. Kyron Williams, Alvin Kamara, Raheem Mostert, all make a bunch of sense. Other options: ETN, Madison, Jacobs, Bijan Robinson, Joe Mixon, David Montgomery. These guys are all options, but the core is like 3 to 4 guys that we're sticking with. At wide receiver this week, obviously, it comes down to correlation. If you play Justin Fields, though, you don't have to pair him with DJ Moore, but I mean, it makes sense. Moore has been one of the better receivers in the league over the last few weeks. He's been great versus zone defense. He's going to see a lot of that, so he's great. So pairing Fields up with DJ Moore makes a lot of sense. Um, if you play Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon. I love Joe Mixon this week. I mean, no T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon. Jameer Chase. Jameer Chase is averaging. He has scored over 70 PPR points this year against zone defense. And that's all they're pretty much going to see against Seattle, who runs a ton of zone. So Jameer Chase is in a huge upside spot. Love Addison. Love Osborne as values. DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill if you do play Tua. It comes down to who you're playing at quarterback. All right. Robert Williams is good value if Tank Dell misses. Nico Collins is going to get a bump if Tank Dell misses. There's many options, man. There's a bunch of options at wide receiver. Adam Thielen playing from behind for Carolina. I mean, solid spot for him, PPR. They're going to do nothing but throw. All right. Jacoby Myers had a great game last game. He's in play. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. As always, correlate with your quarterback. Marquise Brown, if you're doing that GPP version I mentioned with Dobbs, Marquise Brown needs to be paired up with him and then run it back with Kyron Williams. That kind of correlation makes so much sense in that game. Like, it's with a guy like Dobbs at quarterback. All right, in a team like Arizona, it makes it incredibly hard to say, you know what, that's what I'm going to do for cash games. But honestly, it could make sense in cash games too. Because, I mean, the floor feels pretty good for Dobbs and Marquise Brown in a spot where they're going to be playing from behind against the league's worst secondary. I mean, so I'll be thinking heavily on that because that pairing will allow you to pretty much get a lot of studs around you as well. And it correlates beautifully with Kyron Williams on the other side. So if that game goes how you expect it to go, then man, that's big time. If Arizona gets out in front early, that's going to be surprising and a bummer. All right, let's move on to tight end. At tight end, I mean, I'm kind of one-offing here. You don't have to pair. I mean, if you go Cousins and you want Hawkinson, sure. You don't have to force it, though. Hawkinson's 6'6". He's a like high price. Logan Thomas is a great value at 3.5 that I like. Cole Kmet, especially with Fields. Evan Ingram is an option. Other value options. Dalton Schultz for Houston. If Tank Dell misses, that's even better. Kyle Pitts, Conklin, Jonnu Smith, Zach Ertz playing from behind. All solid options that you can go with at tight end. My number one is Logan Thomas. For defense this week, I mean, you could correlate it with one of your running backs. So you could correlate one of my favorite options is the Miami defense against Mostert because I think Miami is going to beat the doors off Carolina. So that's a great option. 49ers obviously are the top overall defense this week with Watson out. What's his name? Walker. PJ Walker is going to be starting for the Browns or something like that. So 49ers are going to eat him alive. So 49ers defense is great. Dolphins defense is great to pair with Mostert. I don't know about pairing the Rams defense with Kyron. I don't really care for that. Or pairing the Saints with um, Kamara. I haven't done a lot of that combo, but I do like the Miami defense with Mostert combo because I feel like that defense is going to. I feel like Mostert's going to eat on the ground. He's going to have a big game. That Dolphins defense is going to create some turnovers, maybe even a pick six while Carolina's trying to catch up and throw the ball a ton. I just really like that script potential there. All right, that's it, man. So quarterback, pretty simple. All right. I mean, Justin Fields has that great rushing ability, great matchup, correlates. You got spots on the Minnesota side to run it back with. You got somebody to pair him with in DJ Moore or Cole Kmet, whatever on that side. That's a solid option there. Matthew Stafford, you can go with, sure. If you go Stafford and you decide to, obviously, if you're going Stafford, you're probably fading Kyron Williams. If you're making that bold move and you're fading Kyron Williams and you're going Stafford, then pair Stafford with Cooper Kupp. Just spend up and go Cooper Kupp in that case. Run it back on the other end with Marquise Brown because that only makes sense for correlation. Joe Burrow, pair him up with Jamar Chase. If DK Metcalf happens to miss, man, you're going to want some locking on that other side. So there will be some sexy correlation here if DK misses. So pay attention to that situation. Trevor Lawrence, you can pair him up with Kirk. You can pair him up with Ridley. Run it back on the other side with Downs or Pittman. If you go Tua, then I would pair him with Tyreek. Run it back with Thielen. That's an option there, but you're having to fade Mostert. It's just, man, there's so many spots where the passing game looks so sexy, but the run game makes more sense with script. There's so many spots like that, man. So it's as you guys can see, I'm sitting here debating it as I'm talking about it. So it's a tough one, but yeah, I'm siding with the Miami side. I am siding Mostert over the past game. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Y'all let me know. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, I don't think I am. The game script is very heavy on Miami being ahead and using a lot of the run. Absolutely, Miami could get ahead by the pass. They could get ahead by Tua and Tyreek connecting for 3 touchdowns. But guess what? In that case, Mostert's still going to get his. So, I don't know, man. Uh, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm liking there. For running back, you already know, man. Kyron Williams, Alvin Kamara, Mostert, Jacobs is an option. ETN is an option. All those guys are options, but those top 3 guys are my main guys that I want. Wide receiver, Cooper Kupp. If you're going Stafford and you're just fading Kyron Williams, that's, like I said, that's a bold move, but you can. Tua, if you're pairing Tua with Tyreek and you're fading Mostert, cool. Risky move there. I would really like Jamar Chase here paired up with Burrow if we have Metcalf out, and it allows me to really get a big bump on Lockett. So we'll see there. Jefferson's obviously not in. Don't know what's going on with some of these spots. Some of these guys should not be in here. It's a mistake on this part. But um, let's see. Yeah, I mean Marquise Brown with the Dobbs. I want to mention that again. The Dobbs pairing with Marquise Brown. Michael Wilson, I think his name is. Those guys, I mean, they're interesting, man. That's a cheap stack. Obviously, you want run back on the Rams side with Kyron Williams. It makes a lot of sense, man. It's moves like that that maybe getting involvement in an Arizona offense doesn't feel fantastic, but the data is really really supporting it, and it's a move like that that a lot of people will shy away from that could win you 100 grand. You know what I'm saying? Like it could realistically win you 100 grand. If Dobbs throws for 2 touchdowns, 2 of which to Marquise Brown, like and because of that value, you're able to get some studs around, and those studs do stud things. Like, dude, you're looking at a huge, huge day. You know what I mean? So consider it. That's all I'm saying. Consider it. Don't hate me if they end up busting, but the chances of that seem low to me with them playing from behind against the league's worst secondary. So we'll see. Tight end. I really like Logan Thomas. He's my number one. If you're going Cousins, then go Hawkinson. You can pair Kmet with Fields. You don't have to go that deep with Fields, though. Fields can do so much with his feet. You don't have to pair him with too many options. And then defense, I really like the Dolphins paired up with Raheem Mostert. Makes a lot of sense to me. 49ers are the top overall because, I mean, you've got Watson out. That's going to be a big benefit to the 49ers against PJ Walker. um, Playing big from behind, having to throw a lot. I mean, 49ers could really feast. So many ways to go this week. It seems like a very exciting week, though, man. We got a lot of potential big offense spots. I'm really excited for it. A lot of different ways that these things can go, man. I mean, look, it's DFS. Miami could somehow be behind against Carolina early and do a ton of throwing and Mostert not even be used. I hate to try to even mention that because I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm saying that's DFS and that's how the cookie crumbles at times. You feel what I'm saying? So you just have to go off of what you expect and what the most logical, most obvious way to go is based off of the research, and that's all I do. You know what I mean? I'm going to finally land on a spot and be like, you know what? I'm sticking to my guns. I'm playing it how I'm playing it, and I don't care what anybody thinks. This is how I'm doing it. This is how I've always played. I've had a ton of success, and that's how you guys got to go do it. Like, look, I'm going to play this way. I'm going to stick to my guns. Whatever happens, I'm not going to hate myself for it. I'm going to accept the consequences. I'm going to accept whatever happens. If you win 100K, good job. If you miss, move on to the next week and continue that process of doing what you know is the right play, playing the right scripts, correlating properly. That is the way that you play DFS. All right? Don't beat yourself up if you have down weeks, man. The only people who are winning consistently at the very, very top of contests are the people max entering 150 lines, and they're not even using any skill. They're just throwing the shit together. You feel what I'm saying? It takes way more skill to be successful on limited amount of lineups than it does max entering lineups. So don't worry about that, okay? You're still going to eat playing your limited lineups. Like these people who use their money and just max enter and try to get the best odds by just playing all the different scenarios they possibly can. Cool, more power to you. Like if you feel great about a win that way, that's cool. You know what I mean? A lot of people will feel good about if they're winning that way. Who cares, right? And I understand that's cool. Me, I like throwing a single bullet out there and winning. Like when I won $70,000 this past year in NFL in 1 week, I played one lineup. It was a single bullet I won 70K on. There's guys max entering every single day who don't make that in a single week. You know what I mean? In a single season combined, these guys are max entering in one. A lot of them max enter and don't even make 70K profit in a year. So it doesn't necessarily matter. You just stick to the process, man. And I talk about it all the time when I come on here on these videos. It's like, look, at the end of the day, I'm here to help y'all. I'm here to try to put y'all in the best positions, and whatever happens, happens at the end of the day. I mean, I don't have control over how these guys play after the lock happens, but you got to play the right process, play the right script spots. Like the correct way to play script wise would be not playing Tua and Tyreek, seeing that they are such favored offenses, and leaning more on Mostert when it comes to optimal lineups because of how favored they are. Sure, they could, connect multiple times. But Mostert, in that case, if they get up, is going to have a ton of runs. So that's just correlation wise, man. You don't normally play running backs with quarterback and receiver stacks. That's just how it goes. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Good luck this week, y'all. Let's get this money, and I'm out.